things you want to do is figure out how you can build your own authority. And if you are not already doing that, you're going to want to pay attention. If you are already doing that, pay attention anyway. Add some comments. If you're here, hashtag live, hashtag replay. Add some comments about some things that you've tried, that you have liked, that you didn't like, that you've worked with before. Let me know how that goes. All right, so the first one, this is going to be the framework. First letter, A. Assess your authority gaps. I want to preface this by saying, this is not like, let's figure out everything that's wrong with me and worry about it. This is not what I mean by this. So one of the ways to collaborate with other people is to collaborate with somebody who has something that you don't have already, right? So their strength might be something where you need boosting, all right? If you lack a specific skill, if you lack certain knowledge, certain credibility, in which areas do you lack that? And then you can hook up with somebody who has that. And now, because of being with them, it reflects on you as well. And that's the whole idea of doing it together when you collaborate. So you borrow off of their authority. If you've ever studied anything like NLP, which I haven't, so I don't even know why I just brought that up, but if you've ever studied something like NLP, if you are speaking on stage and you mention somebody and then you move and you step into that, it gives that feeling to the audience of you being not related, but taking their place, sort of. So the same thing with collaboration. You can sort of borrow their authority by being seen and heard with them, by collaborating with them on something. So that might be somebody you want to collaborate with. Again, it doesn't have to be that. You could collaborate with somebody that does the same thing as you do. Depending on where you're at in your journey, this is scary for a lot of people first starting off, but one of the coaches that I love, she does a collaboration with 3 other coaches who do not the exact same thing, but almost the exact same thing as her every week. And they all give their different opinions and they all talk about how they do it in their business. And they're all established coaches. So that's kind of fun too. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it with somebody where you're borrowing their authority or their credibility. But if you have gaps, that's a great way to do it. If you have gaps in, let's say, for example, you are just starting off and you have a lot more time on your hands than somebody else, and they have a bigger audience, then you could collaborate with them where you do a lot of the grunt work or the put in the time work, and they just show up. That works for them. It works for you, depending, you have to coordinate with people, but depending, that could be a win-win. Regardless of who you're collaborating with, you want to talk about who's responsible for what everybody's doing ahead of time, so that in the end, it is always a win-win situation. That's the biggest thing that you want to make sure that your collaboration is always a win-win for you and for the other person. All right, so quick activity that I want you to do with that first one. And remember, the first one is A. That's your authority gaps. Write down 3 authority gaps that you have, rank them by importance. What does that mean? If you don't have an audience, maybe that's really important to you right now. Maybe you can go around and do and collaborate with somebody else who does have an audience. Maybe your audience is asking for a lot of technology that you just don't really know, but it would help your audience. You can collaborate with somebody who does have a little bit more tech skills than you do, and maybe that's your priority right now. Whatever it is, just list out 3 of your authority gaps, rank them by importance. And then we'll move to the next one, which is C, connect with the right experts. So take that list, right? And you're going to add the experts underneath each one of them. So you want to find people whose strengths align with your gaps. That's the best way to do a collaboration. It could be people who complement your brand rather than compete with it. So a lot of times we call this like your chain. So let me give an example that'll be super obvious. But say you're a jewelry store, right? Who would be in your chain that might complement your brand but not compete with it? Well, if one of your markets is wedding rings, maybe engagement rings, that's your biggest market, then who could you coordinate with? You could coordinate with wedding coordinators. You could coordinate with, local places who have events or weddings, local locations like hotels or places that have the actual weddings. You could coordinate with the flower people who sell the flowers for weddings. So there's a lot of different people in your chain to coordinate with. Example, business coach. Who might I want to coordinate with? Well, I could coordinate with somebody who focuses on just PR. I really don't do PR like getting people into magazines and TV stations and stuff like that. So that might be somebody for me. I could collaborate with health and wellness experts and a health and wellness coach who coaches mostly entrepreneurs. That would be a great audience for me. Spiritual coaches would be a great audience if their audience is full of entrepreneurs. So those would be good audiences for me. I could, let's talk about some different ones. What if you're a productivity coach? You could collaborate with a health coach, right? Adding value by providing that holistic approach. If you were an SEO expert, you could partner with a content marketer to offer a complete digital package. It just depends on what you have right now and what you don't have. I do a pretty holistic approach to my business coaching. So there are some that I might and might not want to collaborate with, but if I did collaborations with somebody else, I could take out pieces of what I offer and add in other pieces, or just offer certain pieces so that it was still a win-win with somebody else. Do you see where that might come in? All right, so add to that list. Look at your top 3 gaps. Figure out the people who you might want to work with in each of those gaps. And remember, you chose your top gap, so you want to focus on that one, right? Name 10, right? The other thing I want you to do in this one is come up with a list of what you bring to the table and why a collaboration would benefit both sides. So if your gap is audience, for example, you don't have an audience, how would it benefit that person to collaborate with you? Name all of the things that you would bring to the table, where maybe you put it all together, you do the work, maybe you run ads, maybe that's how you do it, even though you don't have an audience. Whatever it is, put all of that together. What do you bring to the table? And make a list of that. Do it for each one of your gaps. And then you want to kind of customize it based on those individuals that you put under each one of those. And you're going to start reaching out to them, but you want to do it in a thoughtful way so that they see it right off the bat, why this might be a great thing. So create a top 3 wish list and brainstorm those people, like top 3 people in each one of those gaps. I would actually personally, I would do 10 if you're gung ho, especially in that first, the one that you deemed to be the most important. I would do 10. Keep in mind, people are busy. They may not answer right away. It may take you several outreaches to actually be able to have a conversation with them. It may take you several more to get on the call with them, and several more before you even figure out how you're going to collaborate and what you're going to do. So I would have several in mind. You don't have to only collaborate with one person. So if you sent out 10, the likelihood of 10 saying yes and all at the same time is almost 0, right? Could you do it if they did? Probably. Just stagger your dates when you did it. depending on how much you have to put into it. And think about that when you contact them. If that makes you nervous, then maybe do some outreach for 3 this week and wait till next week and do another 3 and that kind of thing. But get them all ready now so that you're ready to rock and roll. You're gung-ho. You're ready. You don't have to think about it next week. When next week rolls around, you've got all of your material and you just have to send. And start figuring out. Another thing I would figure out when you're talking about who those experts are, where are they? Are they on the platforms where you want to be? Because if they're amazing, but not really on the platform that you're on, but they're amazing on another platform, are you willing to do it on that platform? And if not, you want to take that into consideration. Is that important? If you're just getting started, maybe it doesn't really matter. But if you are trying to build your business on Instagram and they're only on LinkedIn, then maybe that's not a good fit for this very moment. But maybe it is for later. You just never know. All right, so AC. The A was assess your authority. The C, connect with the right experts. Next one is tailor your collaboration approach. I just thought of something. I'll look at it later. All right, here, if you're watching live, I want to hear this. So normally I stream from Zoom, and I'm trying this out. It looks like it's so grainy and fuzzy, and I was hoping today it might be different. Yesterday it looked the same. I thought maybe it was my internet. But the other thing is Zoom blocks out a lot of external noises. So I want to know, if you're on here live, how much of my external noises going on can you hear? My guess is a lot. Okay, I won't do that again. All right, so the next one, T, tailor your collaboration approach. We already sort of hit on this, right? You want to know who you're collaborating with, which gap you're focusing on, and in accordance with that gap, what are your strengths? What are you going to bring to the table when it comes to that? And then talk about the types of collaborations to consider. So you want to do a joint webinar or a masterclass. This could be depending on who you're collaborating with. Maybe who you're collaborating with would never do a joint webinar or masterclass. You don't know. Maybe you have a couple of ideas and you send them a couple of ideas. It would be great if you just went with one so that, focus. But if you're not sure and you want to give them an idea, maybe say, these are the things I have in mind. Would you be interested in one of these? Another thing might be guest appearance. So you could collaborate through guest posts, swaps. You could do content swaps, podcast swaps. You could do live Q&A together, which is super fun. Keep in mind with a live Q&A, you really want to have a bigger audience. So if you're doing it with somebody with an audience, then their audience would be who you're doing that Q&A for, right? Which would be great. I mean, that's perfect for you. But if one of you are, but you want to make sure that you are explicit with that, audience is not where your strength is, right? That's your gap when you're reaching out to them. And let them know, you don't want to down yourself or anything like that, but you could let them know, because I don't have a large audience, I will be doing this, or I would offer to do this, and this, that type of thing. All right. Or maybe it's, I send 10 times for your one time. It could be that, depending on, if you're doing emails or social media. A larger account may not have the room in their schedule to send out a bunch of times. I'm going to pause real quick because I want you to think about that for a second. When you do these things, a lot of times, the bigger you get, the less time and attention they have for what it is that you want to do. So I would caution you to go, obviously, if you want to go, Gary V big, go Gary V big. But I personally think you would do a lot better if you went down a couple, above you, but down a couple if you're looking for audience. Why? Because number one, their audience is going to be maybe a little bit more engaged, and you can check for that before you contact somebody. But they're also probably a little bit more open than a Gary V. They might be able to send more. They might get excited about it and really want to talk to their audience about it. And that's really a lot more fun on both ends. And you may end up getting a lot more engagement and participation if you do it like that. Something to think about. All right, another thing you could do is offer exclusive packages or bundles you could get with somebody and do a bundle. You could get what you've seen those bundles you can get with a bunch of people and do a bundle. That's a type of collaboration. Summits, those are a type of collaboration, right? But you could also offer a package. So maybe you do a particular type of coaching and somebody else does a different type of coaching and you create a package with both types. That'd be really cool. Or like I have a digital marketing agency where I could offer done for you. So maybe another coach wants a done for you with what she does, but doesn't necessarily want to collaborate with me on coaching. So my done for you part could be with her coaching, that type of thing. All right. So think of how you could bundle different things together, how you compare different things together, whether that's skills, personality, offer, whatever it is. Think of all different ways. So let's do some examples. A LinkedIn expert and a personal branding coach. I could totally do this one with a LinkedIn expert, right? Co-hosting a workshop, creating a memorable online presence. So I teach a lot of that strategy-wise in my program, but I don't teach an entire course on LinkedIn specifically. So maybe that would be something good. Or I don't know if you've ever seen this, but within my course, when I get to an online presence, I could offer someone else's offer in there so that if they buy that, maybe I'm like an affiliate, right? That could be. And then maybe he has a back and forth. Maybe he talks about this. And when he starts at the beginning and does strategy, and if you want help with your strategy, here's your coach, that type of thing. All right. Another one might be a holiday collaboration bundle. You could do together with a bunch of people or with one other person. That'd be super fun. All right, so just take a few minutes. Think about one collaboration type that would really be fun for you and outline 3 potential outcomes or shared benefits that you could get. Yes, you can use ChatGPT. I'm a big ChatGPT fan. So 3 potential outcomes or shared benefits of what you could get. How could you do this in ChatGPT? You could go in there and say, this is me. This is who I coach. This is what I do. This is what I bring to the table. Remember, you already created your list, right? And then you can put in your other coach. This is the other person or company or whatever it is that you're collaborating with. This is the other person. This is what they do. This is, their audience. This is how I see their strengths or what they bring to the table. You're not going to know until you definitely speak to them. But what you see as what you think as their their strengths, what they bring to the table, and then say, hey, can you create 3 different outcomes if we collaborate in a webinar? Can you create 3 different outcomes or shared benefits that we might produce if we did a webinar, if we did a bundle? Or you could even start off with, what do you think would be our best collaborations together? Ooh, right? Write as much information about yourself, your personality, about the other person or company, their personality, what they do, where they're at, all of that you can, and you'll get a better answer. All right, last one. Ooh, we did good today. We're going fast. Last one. Solidify and scale your collaboration. So formalize your agreement. Does this mean that you have to have like full-blown contracts? So when I first got online years and years and years ago, somebody told me that pretty much everything we do online is based on handshake, which is funny because we don't even shake hands, right? But the reality is 9 out of 10 times, you're not actually going to go get a lawyer and go after somebody, right? So number 1, work with people who you think you're not going to have to do that with. Start there. Work with people who you don't think you're going to have to break up with, right? But if you do, try to make everything as detailed as possible and in writing, even if you don't do a contract. Why in writing? So that it is very clear, so that if I am, listening to what's going on in my background and sort of paying attention and sort of not, and saying yes to things. What if I don't know what I really said yes to when I hang up this call? You send that in writing, and now it's very clear, right? So talk about the scope, who's doing what, include as much detail as possible, right? As much detail as possible. If I'm making, for example, I'm going to record all of the videos ahead of time, and you're going to be the one that uploads them to a shared drive, and we both own that, and we're going to send it to our list separately. Or you're going to send it to your list, and I'm going to send it to my email. Something like that. Write as much detail as you possibly can. Write timelines, when everything should be done by. Because some people's sense of time is totally different than other people's sense of time. So get detailed on when you think things should be done by. If somebody else is responsible for creating all of the marketing promotions that are going out, but they're not going to give them to you until the day before they go out, but you schedule 2 weeks in advance, that's not going to work. You have to talk about all of that ahead of time. So make sure the collaboration is as well defined as humanly possible, so you avoid any type of misunderstandings, any type of disagreements, or anything else. People assume a lot of things, and it might not be what you're assuming. So you want to make sure it's not happening. All right, so amplify the impact. You want to use each other's platforms to cross-promote the collaboration. Earlier, I talked about if you're on IG and somebody else is on LinkedIn, if you're doing a Zoom webinar, does that really matter? Not really. You can promote on Instagram and they can promote on LinkedIn, and you guys meet on that Zoom. So don't discount somebody if it's just because they're not in your, platform. All right, so share highlights, engage with each other's audience post collaboration. So maybe you have a little group started in Messenger, if it's just the two of you or if there are more people, and you pop in there your links. Hey, I just posted this, so other people can go in and make sure that you mention them on your post, whatever it is. Capture testimonials and results from the collaboration. That's going to be what's really going to build that credibility and create a foundation for future collaborations. If you see any type of success, again, talk about that ahead of time. What is success? What for everybody? I feel like I don't know where I froze, but talk about the different, what success looks like for each of you and those outcomes ahead of time, so that you each know what is going on. Oh, I feel like I'm totally frozen. All right, I'm going to finish up because I feel like I'm frozen and this is getting ugly. All right, I have two last things, or really just one. Let me just share with the one last thing. Freebie. If you want the freebie, I had a freebie leading up to this. So it was Ultimate Collaboration Cheat Sheet, how to choose and approach the right experts to build your authority. If you want that, let me know. Drop cheat sheet underneath this video. And for those of you that are still on through the pauses and whatever else is going on, can't wait to go back and rewatch this. Then live viewers or #replay, I have the Authority Amplifier Workbook. If you want that step-by-step guide to building your authority through expert collaborations. If you are interested in doing any type of collaboration with me, I am open to talking about different collaborations right now, so I'd love to hear it. All right, have an amazing day, and I will see you next week.